How's it going, everybody? This is Cameron White with White Light Astrology, giving you guys your new moon horoscope for Scorpio. Scorpio, this new moon is happening, actually, I don't even have the date for this, November 7th, and this is going to be your new moon, having the moon and the sun in Scorpio since it's Scorpio season. So first off, happy birthday. If I should say, it will be your birthday if it is your sun sign that's in Scorpio, or if you're reading this from your or watching this from your rising sign. Either way, this is a pretty big deal. This new moon, if we're going to be reading this from the, using Scorpio as the ascendant, this is happening in your first house. And you've been having a lot of stuff happen in your first house for the past, year. We've had Jupiter in Scorpio where, you've been learning about yourself, you've been understanding more about yourself on a very deep level. It's kind of like, Scorpio is like what is at the bottom and Jupiter's trying to uplift that. Jupiter wants to have a better understanding of that. And as Jupiter's been through your first house of Scorpio for this past year, you've really uncovered a lot and you've really understood a lot, had more of an awareness about yourself that you've, not have previously had. The thing is with this new moon in Scorpio, it's happening at 15 degrees exactly. And during this time, Jupiter is going to be at the last final degree of Scorpio. And I think this is important because right after, or I should say right before this new moon, the North Node is going to ingress into Cancer, into your 9th house. And so what we're kind of seeing, with a regular new moon is, refresh in energy, a restart, really putting all of the focus onto Scorpio since the sun and the moon will both be there. The sun's kind of purifying this moon. The sun is kind of restarting this new lunar energy, this new emotional energy. With Jupiter being at the last degrees of Scorpio, where it's at this critical degree, it's wanting to get as much as it possibly can before it leaves into Sagittarius. It will be trining the North Node. And with the North Node now moving into Cancer, where it's going to be for the next year and a half for you and where the eclipses are going to be, where you're starting to enter a time for yourself where you're starting to become more and more aware of your beliefs about what you want to not necessarily achieve, but where your trust is at, where your faith is at, where you want to go as in terms of, emotional trust, emotional comfort, being protective of yourself. And as Jupiter trines this North Node during this new moon, I think this is going to be quite an awakening for you in the sense of, what are things like for you now? We've had Venus also retrograde in your first house for the past, not couple months, but the past couple weeks. And as Venus, she doesn't really like to be in Scorpio, but she tries her best to have the best time that she can. As she retrograde, went through the underworld, she really uncovered a lot. And Venus being retrograde in your first house is kind of I like to say a big makeover, and it doesn't have to be so much on a physical level, even though it can be. This is this Venus retrograde is really kind of like a makeover in how you see yourself and what value you really do, what value you're aware of yourself at, or I should say what value you bring, what value you possess, and being more aware of that. As Venus at this time on this new moon will be in Libra and it will still be retrograde, so we are talking about your 12th house. Venus is still wanting you to uncover better parts about yourself. Venus is still wanting you to look in the mirror and be like, look how great you are, look at what you can achieve, look at what you can believe, look at what you dream. And it's kind of about, taking all of the stuff all together and focusing it on one point, piercing it through one point. Because, you guys are Scorpio risings. So with that being said, with Venus, she's still retrograde in Libra. She will go direct and she will go back through Scorpio again. However, Jupiter's just about to leave Scorpio. There's this new moon here. We're about to get finished up and wrapped up with Scorpio season. I think this is going to be a really nice new moon for you guys, where you really get to look at yourselves a little bit more in depth, really go over what did you learn this past year? What has it taught you? What have you discovered about yourself? And what have you, I don't want to say the word healed because I don't think that is the best fitting word. However, it is kind of synonymous. I feel like this year was a lot about exposure, a lot about kind of seeing everything for what it is, especially seeing for who you are. With Scorpio, we are talking about, it's not like, you're seeing the best in yourself all the time. You've seen the good, but you've also really worked on seeing the great. And as Jupiter is moving forward, going into Sagittarius, this is when you get to build this up a little bit more. As this new moon is also trining Neptune. So, you know, it's going to be kind of like a nice vision of yourself, a nice understanding, being more clear with what you want and being more precise with, you know, what it is that you want to, I don't want to say create, but with what you're passionate about, like being able to really see through, you know, what you don't usually see about yourself. So this new moon's going to be really good, and I really hope that you guys take this time to really learn and understand how to better apply yourselves, because I mean, Mars has been retrograde in your 4th house. It's been about recentering yourself. It's been, you know, things at your home and your private life have been kind of up and down. But as this new moon is, the moon will be eventually squaring Mars right after it. I think this is about you guys really centering yourself on taking these new steps and these new actions based on this, you know, refreshing new understanding of yourself that you've had over this past year. And so this new moon, just enjoy yourself. This new moon, feel yourself. This new moon, explore and really just come to terms with where you're at and what you're willing to see and what you should be seeing objectively. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, and I'll be seeing you for your next full moon or new moon or whatever is the next video I do.